Not because the other people change, though they may. Because you change. Because you come to the relationship from a different place. From a place where you are not needing the relationship to do the one thing it was never capable of doing. And being freed from that need changes everything about how you show up. It changes what you bring. It changes what you ask for. It changes what you are able to give. Some of your relationships are going to become healthier as you settle into the reality of your position, not because of anything you do programmatically, but because the quality of your presence changes when you are present from security rather than from need. When you are genuinely curious about the other person, rather than primarily monitoring whether they are providing you with what you need from them. When you are able to be glad for their good things without filtering it through how their good things compare to your things. When you are able to be present to their pain without needing them to be okay in order for you to be okay. That kind of presence is a gift. It is rare, and it becomes possible when your own foundation is secure. Go into your relationships with the awareness of this, with the intention of bringing what your position provides, rather than asking the relationship to provide what only your position can, not as a strategy, not as a technique for improving your social dynamics, but as the genuine overflow of someone who has found the well and is learning to draw from it, and therefore has something real to offer from it. Let me return now to the specific situation you are facing, the one that brought you here. Whatever it was that drew you to listen to these words today, whatever the particular weight of this particular season, I want to close with something personal. Something not about the general architecture of your faith, but about the specific you in the specific moment you are in. I know this season. I know what it is asking of you. I know the specific texture of what you are carrying right now, the way it feels at different moments of the day, heavier in some moments and slightly more manageable in others. I know what you are hoping for. I know what you are afraid of. I know the question you have not yet put into words, even to yourself, the one that is living underneath all of the other questions. I know it, and I want you to know that I am not distant from it. I am not managing your situation from a remove, from a place of general intention toward your well-being, but without specific attention to the specific details. I am paying attention to the specific details, all of them. Every one of them matters to me because you matter to me, not as a category, but as this particular person, with this particular life, in this particular moment. And what I want to say about this specific moment is that you are not alone in it. That help is present in it, not on its way, present. That the resources available to you in it are greater than the weight of it. That the one who designed you for your specific life has not lost sight of where you are in it. That the path through this specific difficulty has been prepared. That on the other side of this specific season, there are things I have been building toward that this season is part of the preparation for. Not as a consolation, as a statement of the actual structure of what is happening. This is a chapter, not the final chapter. A chapter in the middle of a story that I'm writing with you and for you, and that ends in a place that, when you finally see it, will make complete and beautiful sense of every chapter that came before it. Trust me in this chapter. Not because the chapter is comfortable, because you know the author, because the author has not made a chapter yet that did not serve the story, because the author loves the story and loves the character in it, and is writing toward an ending that the character cannot yet see, but that the author has been working toward with complete commitment from the very first word. I am with you. Every chapter, every word, every step of the way until the story is complete. And the story will be complete in the fullness of the time I set for it. And it will be beautiful. Let me address one more thing before I close. Because I have spoken about what you have and what you stand on and what cannot be taken from you. But I also want to speak about what you have to give, about the specific contribution that you, in your specific position in this specific chapter of history, are meant to make. You are not here by accident. The time you live in was chosen for you. The community you inhabit, the relationships you are embedded in, the sphere of influence that is uniquely yours because it has been built from the specific combination of your history and your gifts, and your personality and your position. None of that is arbitrary. You were placed here, in this time, in this place, among these specific people, for reasons that are part of the larger plan. And the contribution you are meant to make is not a contribution that anyone else can make, because no one else has your particular combination of who you are and where you are and what you have been through and what you know because of it. The fear that you have nothing to offer, that what you have to give is not worth offering, that you do not have enough or know enough or have achieved enough to be someone whose contribution matters. That fear is a misunderstanding of how contributions work in the economy of my kingdom. In my economy, the contribution that matters is not always the one that looks largest from the outside. It is the faithful, small, consistent, genuine contribution of someone who is fully present in their specific place, giving what they specifically have, loving the specific people in front of them. That is what moves things in my kingdom. Not the spectacular, but the faithful. Not the impressive, but the genuine. Not the contribution that earns recognition, but the one that comes from knowing who you are and having enough of it to give. You have enough, because what you have connects to a source that does not run out, and the offering of what you have, from that connected place, from the position of the one who knows their standing and rests in it and lets the rest overflow, is more than enough for the specific contribution you are placed in this moment to make. Now you are sent, carrying who you are, knowing whose you are, standing on what cannot be moved, going into what comes next as the person I made you to be, not perfectly, not without the ongoing need for my help and my guidance and my correction and my grace, but genuinely, really, as yourself, the one I designed, the one I love, the one I have not given up on for even a fraction of a moment since the moment I first thought of you. Go, the road is prepared, I am in it, and you, my courageous one, are exactly who you were always meant to be. There is something about waiting that I want to address directly, because waiting is one of the most challenging aspects of living the life I have called you to, and it is almost never discussed with the honesty it deserves. Most treatments of waiting in spiritual contexts default quickly to encouragement. Hold on. Your time is coming. Do not give up. These things are true. They are not wrong. But they are not sufficient for what the actual experience of waiting feels like from the inside. And you deserve something more substantial than comfort that asks you to feel better without acknowledging how hard the thing you are waiting in actually is. Waiting feels like being stopped. Like everyone else is moving, and you are somehow suspended in a place where the movement you expected is not happening. Like watching from a window while life happens on the other side of the glass. Like being in the middle of a sentence that never completes, the pause stretching so long that you begin to wonder whether the rest of the sentence is actually coming, or whether this is simply where the sentence ends, unfinished and unresolved. I know that feeling. I have watched you live in it. Not with the detachment of someone watching something happen to someone else, but with the full engagement of someone who cares about what they are watching. The waiting seasons are the ones where I am most attentive, not least attentive, because what is most at risk in the waiting is not the outcome you are waiting for. What is most at risk is the understanding of who I am and whether I can be trusted. The waiting is not primarily about the thing being waited for. The waiting is about you and me, and what happens to that relationship under the pressure of extended unfulfillment. Let me tell you something about what I am doing in the waiting that you cannot see from inside it. In the waiting, I am preparing. Not a vague general preparation that could apply to anything. A specific preparation for what specifically comes next. Preparation happens before the thing, not simultaneous with it. A surgeon prepares before the operation. An architect prepares before construction begins. A farmer prepares the ground before planting. The preparation phase can look like nothing is happening when in fact the most important work of all is happening. The thing you are waiting for requires something to be ready for it. Sometimes the readiness is in the external circumstances, the right people in place, the right resources available, the right timing aligned. Sometimes the readiness is in you, sometimes both at once. In every case, the preparation is happening. The waiting is not empty, it is full. Full of the things I am doing in the space that feels to you like absence. In the waiting, I am also refining something. This is the part that sounds uncomfortable because it is. Refining is a process that involves heat. The impurity has to be brought to the surface by heat before it can be removed. Materials that are going to carry significant weight have to be tested at stresses higher than the expected operating load before they are trusted with the real thing. The waiting season is often a refining season. Not because I enjoy watching you under heat, not because difficulty is somehow good in itself, but because what is coming requires something in you that only heat can produce, and the heat in the waiting season is producing it. The patience that only grows in seasons of extended waiting. The trust that only deepens when trust is the only thing left and it turns out to be sufficient. The intimacy with me that only develops when the comfortable distance of answered prayers and favorable circumstances has been stripped away, and what remains is the raw and necessary encounter with who I actually am, rather than who I am when things are going well. In the waiting, I am also protecting. This is perhaps the hardest to believe when you are inside the waiting, but it is among the most frequently true. The thing you are waiting for is not ready for you yet, or you are not ready for it, or the timing required for it to be what it needs to be for your actual flourishing, rather than just your momentary relief has not yet been achieved. And in the gap between now and then, your life is being protected from the version of the outcome that would have arrived too early, or at the wrong level of your readiness. Mercy often looks like closed doors. Not every no is a permanent no. Many of the most significant no's in my children's lives have been the very specific protection of keeping them from arriving at the right destination on the wrong vehicle, or arriving before the station was ready to receive them. Wait with me. Not just for the thing. In the waiting, there is access to a quality of relationship with me that cannot be found in the seasons of easy abundance. The waiting strips away all of the reasons you have to feel good that are not me. It removes the competing sources of comfort. It leaves you with what is most fundamental. And what is most fundamental is me, and my love for you, and my absolute unwillingness to abandon you in the process, even when the process is hard, even when you are angry with me for letting it be hard this long, even when your faith is at its most brittle. I am still here. I have always been here. I will not leave the waiting with you until what I am waiting for alongside you is complete. Now let me speak to something that threads through everything I have said today, and that I want you to carry as a specific and practical orientation for your life going forward. It is the question of how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. Not the literal mirror, though that too. The internal mirror. The one you consult most often, where the image that forms is made not from light and glass, but from accumulated beliefs about who you are, what you deserve, what you are capable of, what others see when they look at you. The image in that mirror has been formed by many hands. Some of them were my hands, some of them were not. And many of my children are living their daily lives in response to an image in that mirror that is significantly distorted by sources other than me, that carry the corrections that need to be made in red prominently, while the original features I designed and love are minimized or missing entirely, that emphasize the blemishes and minimize the structure, that show a smaller, less capacious, less dignified, less beautiful image than what I see when I look at you. I see you clearly. I want that to land as more than a comforting abstraction. I see you clearly means that I see everything you are. Every part. The parts you are proud of and the parts you are not. The parts that are fully formed and the parts that are still in process. The parts that reflect me well and the parts that still carry distortions from things that were done to you or things you did yourself. I see all of it. And what I see, having seen all of it, is not what the distorted mirror in your mind shows you. What I see is a child of mine. A person of specific worth and dignity and purpose that does not require performance to be real. A person in whom I have placed things that have not yet fully emerged. A person whose story is not finished. A person whom I love not in the general way of a deity who loves his creation abstractly, but in the specific way of a father who loves this specific child with a love that knows every particular detail and loves in response to those particulars, not despite them. The correction of the distorted mirror is one of the ongoing works I am doing in you. Not by telling you to think positive thoughts about yourself, not by asking you to ignore the evidence that the mirror is using to justify its distorted image, but by being present as the one who is the ultimate authority on what you actually are, and speaking from that authority consistently, persistently, until the image in your internal mirror begins to align with what I see, rather than with what the distorting lenses that have been pressed against it have produced. This takes time. Distortions installed over years do not correct in moments. But every time you choose to receive what I say about you over what the distorted mirror says about you, the image gets a degree clearer. Every time you act from the truth of your position, rather than from the lies the mirror has been showing you, you practice the true image, and the practiced image becomes more available. Every time you catch the distortion operating, the automatic assumption of inadequacy or unworthiness or disqualification, and you choose not to accept it as true, you loosen its grip on what you believe about yourself. You are more than the mirror has been showing you. The mirror has had too many distorting lenses pressed against it for too long. I am the cleaner of mirrors. And as we have sat here together, something has been cleaning. Some of the accumulated distortion that has been sitting over the image of who you actually are has been moving. Not all of it. Probably not most of it. But some. And some is where we start. Keep coming back to these truths. Not because you need to earn them by frequency of exposure, but because the truth that reshapes your deepest beliefs is truth that is visited regularly, held consistently, returned to when the distorted image tries to reassert itself. The identity I have given you is true whether you are feeling it or not, but the feeling, the actual experiential sense of it, of being settled in who you are, of carrying yourself from the knowledge of your position, that develops over time through the repeated choice to return to what is true rather than defaulting to the familiar distortion. You are worth that work, every moment of it, and I will be in every moment of it with you. One more thing. There is a specific person or a specific situation that came to your mind as you listened today. Something that the words touched and activated in a way that made you think of something or someone beyond yourself. A person you love who is struggling in a way that these words would speak to. A situation in your own life that needs the application of what has been said today in a specific and concrete way. A thing you have been avoiding that this conversation is nudging you toward. Pay attention to that. Not as superstition, but as attentiveness. The thing that stirred when you listened is usually something that I stirred. I work through resonance, through the connection between what is being said and what is already alive in you, the thing you already knew but needed to hear confirmed, the thing you were already feeling but needed to see named, the thing you were already being called toward but needed the encouragement to actually move toward. When something stirs in you as you receive a word like this, the stir is information. It is worth sitting with, worth taking seriously, worth acting on. Go to the person who came to your mind. Share what you received today, not because you are now qualified to be their teacher, because you are a person who received something that they need, and the most natural thing in the world is to pass on what you received. That is how the kingdom works. Not through institutions and programs, though those have their place. Through one person receiving something from me and turning to another person and saying, "Listen, I heard something today that I think is for you too." That is the movement of my love through the world. Person to person, moment to moment. Not spectacular but pervasive. Not impressive but real. You have been given something today. Something worth sharing. Something that will not diminish by being given. Something that grows as it is passed along. Take it with you. Into every room you walk into. Into every conversation you have. Into every relationship that has been placed in your specific sphere of influence for this specific chapter of your story. You are a carrier of something real. And the world around you, the specific small world of your specific relationships and your specific community, needs what you carry. Go. And as you go, remember what you are. Remember what you stand on. Remember who walks with you. And let the remembering change everything else. Come even closer now. What I am about to say is not for the noise around you, but for the deepest part of you. the part that has been listening underneath all of the other listening, the part that receives what is spoken at a level below explanation. I want to address you there, in that place. In the part of you that has always known there was more to the story than what the surface showed, that has always reached, even without understanding what it was reaching for, toward something larger than what the visible world could contain. You have been changing. I know it has not always felt like change in the right direction. Seasons that felt like regression, like losing what you had worked to build, like going backward through territory you thought you had already covered. Those seasons were not regression. I want you to understand what they actually were, because misunderstanding them has cost you. Those seasons were preparation. They were excavation. They were the removal of soil that had to be cleared before a deeper foundation could be poured. And this is critical to understand, because it changes the way you interpret the difficult seasons when they come. And they will come, and they will feel like what they always feel like going backward, like losing, like diminishment. But they are not that. When a construction project requires a deeper foundation than was originally planned, deeper than the original excavation allowed for, the crew has to go back down, has to remove more, has to disrupt what was already in the ground. From above, from the perspective of someone watching, it looks like the project is moving backward. The hole is getting bigger. Things that were placed are being removed. Progress seems to have reversed. But the engineer knows something the observer does not. The engineer knows that the depth being achieved now is the depth required for the building that is actually going to be built. That the disruption is not failure. That what looks like backward movement is actually preparation for the kind of forward movement that a shallower excavation would never have been able to support. The version of you that is emerging from this season is a more stable version, built on a deeper foundation than the version that existed before the difficult seasons began. More genuinely rooted. Less dependent on the stability of favorable circumstances to feel stable. More capable of sustaining weight because the capacity has been developed through the seasons of carrying weight you did not choose and could not put down. More genuinely fruitful because the root system goes deeper than it used to, down below the drought-affected soil, down to water sources that the surface conditions cannot reach. Roots go down in the dark. This is a thing worth sitting with, because it applies to your life in ways you may not have fully noticed. A tree does not grow roots by searching for the light. The roots grow in the opposite direction of the light, down into the dark, into the earth, into the unknown below. And the deeper the roots go, the more stable the above-ground structure becomes. The tree that looks most magnificent above the ground is almost always the tree with the most extensive root system below it. The visible beauty and the invisible work are proportional. What you cannot see is producing what you can see. In the dark seasons of your life, in the seasons that felt most like absence and most like loss, and most like going in a direction opposite to where you thought you were supposed to go, your roots were going deeper. Into me. Into truth. Into an understanding of my character that only comes from needing me in ways that are beyond what a comfortable season requires. Into a capacity for faith that only develops when faith is the only thing left, when the comfortable reasons to trust have been removed by the circumstances, and what remains is either raw faith in who I am or nothing. The roots went down in those seasons. They are down there now, and they are holding you up, not visibly, not in a way you can point to and say, look, this is where the support is, but structurally, in the way that the tree is held up by what you cannot see from the outside. Your roots are in me, and nothing that presses against the above-ground part of your life can reach what is anchored below. Now I want to come to you in the specific reality of this moment, not as a theological statement about all moments in general, here, right now. In whatever is specifically happening in your life right now, the thing you woke up with, the thing that follows you through the ordinary parts of the day like an uninvited companion, the thing that sits at the back of every other thought waiting to reclaim the foreground when you stop actively pushing it away. I want to speak to that thing, to the specific weight of it, to the specific way it feels when you hold it. You have been holding more than you were designed to hold alone. Not because you are weak. I want to say that clearly, because the accumulation of weight often produces the conclusion that the person carrying it is insufficiently strong. that a stronger person would not be struggling as much, that the degree of strain you feel is evidence of some deficiency in your character or your faith. That conclusion is wrong. The strain is not evidence of weakness. It is evidence of something being carried that was not designed to be carried by one person without the partnership I offered from the beginning. The design specifications for your life include my involvement at every load-bearing point. Not as a supervisor who tells you how to manage the weight, but as a partner who takes a portion of the weight alongside you, who says, not in general spiritual language but in the specific practical sense, give me the part of this that belongs to me. And there is always a part that belongs to me. There is always a portion of what you are carrying that I offered to carry with you, and that you, for reasons that make complete sense given your history, decided to manage independently instead. Maybe because you learned early that dependence was risky. Maybe because reaching out for help produced disappointment often enough that you stopped reaching. Maybe because the pride of managing on your own felt safer than the vulnerability of admitting you needed something you could not provide for yourself. All of those reasons are understandable. None of them change the offer. I am reaching for the weight right now. The specific portion of what you are carrying that was designed to be carried with my help. The worry about the future of someone you love that is beyond your ability to control, no matter how carefully you try. The grief about something that happened that cannot be undone, that sits heavy in a particular place in your chest and does not move when you try to move it. The exhaustion of having been strong for a very long time for other people without adequate replenishment of your own reserves. The unanswered question about your own direction, your own calling, your own place in the larger story that you keep turning over and never quite resolving. These things have weight, and you have been holding them. And I am saying, specifically, deliberately, with full knowledge of what they are and how long you have been holding them. Let me take the portion of this that is mine to carry. Not all of your weight. Some of your weight is yours to hold, and I will walk beside you in it. But the part that belongs to me is not helping you by staying in your hands. It is only straining something that was not designed to hold it alone. Let go of that piece, right now. In whatever way letting go looks for you. If it looks like a prayer, pray it. If it looks like a breath released, breathe it. If it looks like acknowledging out loud, even just to yourself, that you have been holding something you were not built to hold alone, say it. The release does not require a particular ceremony. It requires intention. The intention of turning toward me rather than away from me with the weight. Of opening your hands rather than keeping them closed around it. Of trusting that what is in my hands is safer than what is in yours, not because I am more competent, though I am, but because I was designed for this in a way that you were not. I was designed to carry what is ultimately too large for human carrying. And my design includes the capacity to hold what you release without being diminished by it, which means the release costs you nothing and gives me nothing I cannot hold. And as you release it, something will shift. Not dramatically, not necessarily. The circumstances may not change in this moment. The situation that created the weight may still be there when you finish listening. The relationship that is difficult may still be difficult. The unanswered question may still be unanswered. What shifts is not always the visible reality. What shifts first is the weight. The portion of it that was never yours becomes mine again as you release it, and you discover that what remains, the portion that is genuinely yours to carry, is actually manageable. It was the borrowed weight, the weight that was not yours to begin with, that was creating the sense of being overwhelmed. Your actual load, the one I designed for your specific frame and capacity, is not beyond you. I did not design you for a life whose demands would exceed what you are able to bear with my help. The designed load is exactly right for who you are and what you are being called to. The borrowed load is what has been crushing you, so release it, all of it that does not belong to you, and then stand under what remains, with me beside you in it, and feel the difference. Feel what it is like to carry what is actually yours, rather than everything you have been carrying. Feel what it is like to move through the day when the weight is right-sized. Feel what it is like to be human in the way I designed human to be, limited and dependent and in relationship with me, rather than autonomous and overwhelmed and pretending to manage what you were never designed to manage alone. This is what I'm inviting you into. Not a life without weight, a life where the weight you carry is the right weight, carried the right way, with the right partnership. A life where your back is not breaking under what I never put on it. A life where what I did put on it, the specific designed calling of your specific designed life, is something you can walk into with the steadiness that comes from not being additionally burdened by what was never yours. Let me remind you of something else before I speak the words that are waiting to be spoken over you. Do you remember, in the earlier parts of what we have covered today, when I spoke about the building, the foundation, the load-bearing walls? I want to return to that image for just a moment, because there is one more thing in it that I have not yet said. A completed building is not a silent thing. It speaks. Not in words, but in what it makes possible. A building, when it is complete, creates space that did not exist before. It turns open air into shelter. It turns what was exposed into what is protected. It creates rooms where life can happen, where relationships can deepen, where work can be done and rest can be taken, and the ordinary, beautiful dailiness of existence can be lived. The building is not the life. The building is what makes the life livable. It is the container for what matters. Your life, as I am building it, is not the ultimate point. It is the container. The relationships that happen in it, the love that is expressed through it, the contribution that is made from it, the people whose lives are touched by it, the moments of grace that pass from you to someone else through the ordinary, miraculous daily interactions of your specific life. That is the life that is happening inside the building. And that life, the life inside the building, the things that happen because you are who you are, located where you are located, connected to the people you are connected to, is the thing I have always been building toward. Your life matters not only to you, it matters to the people in it. It matters to the people whose paths will cross yours in chapters not yet written. It matters in ways you will never fully see from inside it, the way a stone that lands in a lake creates rings that extend further than any eye can trace from the point of impact. Every act of genuine love, every moment of real courage, every time you chose the true thing over the comfortable thing, every prayer you offered in the dark when nothing confirmed it would be heard, every time you got back up, every season you stayed faithful when faithfulness was very expensive, all of it has been and will be creating rings in the lives around you that extend in directions you cannot see and will not fully know until you are standing in the place where everything becomes clear. Live accordingly, knowing that what you do matters in ways your current visibility cannot confirm. Knowing that the building being built in you is a container for something that will touch beyond the immediate. Knowing that you are placed here, in this time, in this community, in these specific relationships, not randomly but specifically, for purposes that include people and moments and impacts that are not yet visible to you. And knowing that the one who is building you for this is trustworthy, knows the plans, is committed to the completion, will not stop building until the building is complete. Now, let me speak over you. Let me address you with the full weight of everything that has been built through this time, everything laid in the foundation, every declaration made, every truth established, everything about who you are and who I am, and what that means for everything that comes next. Hear this, not as a general word for anyone listening, but as a word for you, specifically, in this moment, from the one who has known you before you knew yourself. My courageous one, you were not built to break. You were built to bend when the forces are strong and stand when the bending is done, because the root system goes deeper than any storm can reach. Every time you thought the storm was going to be the one that finally took the tree down, the roots held. Every time the wind pressed hardest and the above ground part swayed, and you were not sure whether it would stop swaying, the below ground held firm. The tree is still standing, and the roots are deeper now than they were before the last storm, which means the next storm, however strong it is, will meet a more anchored tree than the ones before it did. You are not who the hardest season of your life named you. You are not the accumulation of losses. You are not the sum of the moments when you fell short. You are not the story that the most discouraging chapter of your life tried to tell about you. You are what I said before any of those chapters began. You are my child, built from my hand, bearing my image, however imperfectly, however partially, in ways that persist even when you cannot see them. And my image includes something that does not break, something that bends, yes, that strains under weight, yes, that goes through seasons of genuine difficulty, yes, but does not ultimately, irreversibly break. Because I do not make things that break irreversibly. I make things that can always be restored. And I am the one doing the making. Your position is secure. The citizenship holds. The standing is not diminished by the struggles. The access remains open. The backing is in place, not provisionally, not conditionally, not on a timeline that runs out when the next difficulty arrives. The things I have declared over your life are still declared. Every word I have spoken about who you are and what your future holds and what my purposes for you are, those words have not been retracted. They are not subject to revision based on how the current season looks from the outside. They were spoken from a perspective that sees the whole story, beginning to end. And what that perspective says about your life is not what your hardest chapter says about it. The courage I am describing, the deep kind, the kind rooted in knowing rather than performing, is what you carry out of this moment. Not manufactured, not borrowed from a feeling that will need to be renewed the next time the circumstances press in. Something more structural than feeling. Something that has been placed in the architecture of who you are and reinforced through every season where you needed it and used it and found out it held. You are more courageous than you think you are, not because of what you have managed to accomplish, because of what has been built into you by the one who designed you for the life you are living. The path ahead of you continues. There are rooms in the building that have not yet been built. There are sections of your story that have not yet been written. There are things I am planning for you that are larger than what you can currently imagine from the vantage point of where you stand right now. And I am building toward all of it, with the same precision and the same love and the same certainty of good outcome that I have had since before you began. The building is not finished. The best rooms are still ahead. And I am your architect, your companion on the road, the one who walks ahead to prepare what is coming and beside you as you walk through it and behind you, to make sure nothing sneaks up from behind unaccounted for. Go forward as who you are, my courageous one, my child, my planned one, my loved one. Go forward on the foundation that was set for you before you knew you needed one. Walk on the ground that was secured for you before you knew it needed securing. Face what comes with the knowledge of who stands behind you, not the temporary knowledge of a good moment that will need to be replenished when the good feeling fades, but the structural knowledge of something that has been built into you and tested and proven. You are covered. You are held. You are not alone in any of it. Not in the ordinary days and not in the extraordinary ones. Not in the triumphant moments and not in the ones where you fall short. Not when your faith is large and not when it is as small as it can possibly be while still being present. In all of it, I am here, building, continuing, working toward the completion of what I began in you with the full intention of completing it. And the completion I have in mind is magnificent, more than you have imagined, more than the best vision you have had of what your life could be, more than what you would choose for yourself if you could see all of your options. Because I see all of the options, and I have always chosen the best one for you. And the best one for you is what I am building toward, step by step, season by season, from the foundation up. Amen. If this message reached something deep in you today, something that needed to hear these words, please share it with someone else who needs to hear them. There are people in your life who are carrying weight they were not designed to carry alone, who have forgotten what they are standing on, who need to be reminded of who they are and who they belong to. Be the one who sends them this message. Type Amen in the comments below to receive this blessing and to let others know you were here and this reached you. Your comment encourages others who are listening. Subscribe to this channel so that you never miss a message, and carry with you from this moment the knowledge of what you are made of, who made you, and what that means for every step of the road ahead.